Welcome to Uptown Radio. It's Thursday, March 27th. I'm your host, Flora Warshaw. Today on the show, President Donald Trump says he wants to impose higher tariffs on alcohol imports from the European Union. This is causing uncertainty in New York's wine and liquor trade.
When we're talking about 200%, not 25%, that could effectively just completely demolish the industry.
A Senegalese artist's new exhibition in Chelsea explores the sport of wrestling in Senegal and its connection to American basketball.
The star wrestlers in Senegal, they're really icons for the whole country. Everyone knows their name, everyone knows about them, everyone knows when they are fighting.
New York City is mandating that residents compost, and if they don't, they'll be fined. But not everyone is aware that they are supposed to compost.
Do you compost?
I don't know where to do that.
All this and more coming up.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Lakshmi Singh. The Department of Health and Human Services is cutting 20,000 full-time jobs. Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says HHS is currently a dysfunctional, sprawling bureaucracy.
HHS has more than 100 communications offices and more than 40 IT departments and dozens of procurement offices and 9 HR departments.
The cuts affect the FDA, the CDC, NIH, and other key divisions. Critics have warned that the pace at which the administration is shrinking the federal government will undercut critical services and harm people. The top Republican and Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee are asking the Pentagon's acting inspector general to weigh in on the signal controversy. At the same time, Attorney General Pam Bondi is downplaying the leak of plans for U.S. airstrikes in Yemen. In a group chat on a publicly available message app, NPR's Ryan Lucas says Bondi implies that the Justice Department was not opening a criminal investigation into the matter.
At a news conference in Virginia, Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked about the controversy over the group chat, which included details of a pending U.S. military strike against Houthis in Yemen.
Well, first, it was sensitive information, not classified, and inadvertently released.
Bondi's answer appears to suggest that the Justice Department is not planning to investigate. She went on to praise the military strikes against the Houthis and then pivoted to accusing Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden of mishandling classified information. She did not mention that the Justice Department investigated both Clinton and Biden before ultimately deciding not to bring charges. Ryan Lucas, NPR News, Washington.
President Trump is withdrawing his planned nomination of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik to be U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. NPR's Tamara Keith reports Stefanik's nomination had been on ice because of the narrow Republican majority in the House of Representatives.
In a social media post, President Trump said that it is essential to maintain every Republican seat in Congress, adding that with a very tight majority, he doesn't want to take a chance on anyone else running for Stefanik's seat. She is a close Trump ally and was expected to have a trouble-free confirmation. Stefanik has served in Congress since 2015, easily winning re-election in a New York state district that has become increasingly Republican-leaning over time. Trump added that there are others who can do a good job at the United Nations, and he looks forward to the day when Stefanik is able to join his administration. Tamara Keith, NPR News, the White House.
U.S. stocks have ended the day lower. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed down 155 points to settle at 42,299. The Nasdaq was down 94 points or more than 0.5%. The S&P is down 18 points. From Washington, this is NPR News.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced yesterday it will cut $12 billion in funding to state health services. This includes funding for tracking infectious diseases such as bird flu or measles. Dr. David Rossner is Professor of History and Socio-Medical Sciences at the Mellman School of Public Health at Columbia University. I asked him about the impact of these cuts on academic research and on the nation in general.
This is devastating. I feel really bad for younger scholars. I feel bad for visiting students. I feel it's just a horrible situation, both for the university, for the future of scholarship in general. I mean, we have a lot of faculty who have literally found that their grants have died up in the middle of their projects, and they have no way of going forward. So it's it's going to have a long-term effect. It's going to be much more than just a short short few months of suffering.
And ultimately, something like pandemic prevention, for the future of, vaccine research, is this because a lot of the vaccines, obviously, for COVID came out of university. I know the AstraZeneca one was founded at Oxford University. Are we going to see potentially more pandemics arise in the future as a result of this?
Well, you can expect that all sorts of research is going to stop. We are all involved in all sorts of research that are affecting people's lives in all sorts of ways. So, yeah, of course it's going to affect us. Sooner or later, it will come back to bite us.
And Trump claims, we don't need to fund COVID because the pandemic is over. Something like pandemic prevention, is it a constant, ongoing thing that you always need to be tracking behind the scenes?
Listen, at the School of Public Health, where part of my appointment is at the School of Public Health, there are people who spend their lives literally tracking disease. I mean, literally going around the world, going to hotspots, finding out where disease outbreaks are occurring, trying to prevent the spread of those diseases. And without support for them, if we'll find that there are going to be outbreaks here.
Does funding for things like pandemic prevention, epidemics, can it come from anywhere else besides the government?
No, any action around pandemics means you have to deal with entire populations. You have to deal with the world. That's what pandemic means. And that the only agency you really have to deal with that is our governments, and the governments working together. Because unfortunately, bacteria and viruses do not respect borders. They don't respect the border between New York and New Jersey. They go over bridges.
And would you be able to speak to the rise of people not vaccinating for measles and kind of how that will affect future generations of children?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally unbelievable to me that we have people who believe deeply or anti-vaccination. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Vaccination has probably been the one technological tool that we developed in the last century and a half, really, that has changed the outcome of millions of lives. I mean, so the idea that we have somehow forgotten that lesson and are willing to go back to it, and we have a head of the national, the health infrastructure of this country who doesn't believe in vaccination is terrifying for a public health person. It's just terrifying for anyone who knows anything about health and disease.
And if someone was to say, well, we could use the funding elsewhere, we could use it to fund cancer research, diseases that are currently here as opposed to prevention, what would you say to, that kind of argument?
Well, the reason why we have cancer research and reason why we worry about cancer is because we spent literally decades, centuries trying to deal with infectious disease.
Thank you so much, Dr. David Rosner. I really appreciate you coming to speak with me today.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Earlier this month, President Trump announced new tariffs on imports of foreign alcohol products. He said if the European Union doesn't drop its planned 50% tariff on whiskey, the US will counter with a 200% tariff on European wines, champagne, and other alcoholic beverages. Zoya Ma reports on what these tariffs could mean for consumers and the beverage industry in New York.
May Mataalia is a wine industry consultant and educator. She says wine enters the U.S. market through a three-tier system involving importers, wholesalers, and restaurants or retailers. With the margins added in each step, all of these factors would be strongly impacted by the new tariffs.
With this new round, when we're talking about 200%, not 25%, that could effectively just completely demolish the industry. The wine industry is already going through a difficult time.
Chris Collin is an assistant professor of economics at New York University and studies how firms compete and set prices. He says one issue with tariff is that they're reciprocal. that you really get to enact your tariff without other countries responding by enacting theirs.
And in that case, we just end up in a much worse place than where we started. Because you enact tariffs on me and I enact tariffs on you. And now we're kind of just selling less stuff at higher prices. And there are no winners in that world. At least not, in the aggregate.
Colin says that if 200% tariffs are imposed on wines and other alcohol, consumers could see a broad shift in the kinds of products that are available.
Both for the imported products, but also for the domestic products, I think you're going to see prices go up quite a bit if we basically take European competition, a third of the market out. It's pretty rare we get to take a third of the market out. We lost less than a third of the egg market, in the last 6 months, and we saw what happened to egg prices.
Yannick Benjamin is the co-owner of Beau Pier Wine and Spirit in Hell's Kitchen. He also runs a non-profit organization, Wine on Wheels, that supports people with disabilities. He says the new tariff will impact all levels of wine and alcohol businesses in New York City.
The people that are going to really kind of feel the pain is the smaller businesses, smaller wine stores, smaller importers, distributors, smaller restaurants. I mean, you have to really understand the numbers behind it.
One result could be that the wine market would shrink, and along with it, the variety of wines available to consumers.
It won't be as unique each wine store or each restaurant. It'll all sort of have the same kind of wines. And I just think that a lot of these businesses are already working on thin margins and tariffs. It's just going to be the tipping point.
For now, the alcohol industry is on hold, at least for the next 6 days. The Trump administration say they will announce the final details and the amount of the tariffs on wines and other alcohol products April 2nd, next Wednesday. Joanne Ma, Columbia Radio News.
New York City began its most recent composting rollout 3 years ago. It became a citywide mandate this past fall, but 6 months later, only 5% of the city composts. Now the sanitation department is cracking down. If you don't compost, you might risk a $25 fine. Una Milliken asks, will that be enough to get New Yorkers to compost?
It's composting day on 114th Street in Harlem. Or it should be. But there's not a single composting bin out on the street. Mamadou Saidi is a taxi driver. He's rushing on his way to work. He says he doesn't even know what composting means.
Never heard about it. I mean, it should be something good, but I never heard about it. That's my only reason. I drive a taxi, but I only have the news on, but I never heard about it.
A couple blocks west, Cheryl Garden is sitting on her stoop smoking a cigarette. She's pretty sure she knows what composting is, but doesn't know about the city's program.
I don't know where to do that.
Residents like Sadie and Garland are who New York is trying to reach. Across the country, San Francisco may be a role model. The city began a composting mandate way back in 2009. Today, almost 60% of the population compost their food waste. That's according to Hillary Neer, a zero waste coordinator who works with the city. According to Neer, San Francisco tries to avoid it, but will fine property owners if forced to.
They will be subject to contamination fines that are up to 100% of their collection costs for that street. It would be some of our largest properties who are generating the most material in San Francisco are subject to starting at a $30,000 fine.
In comparison, fines for large units in New York are capped at $300. Joe Pizzecki works for the San Francisco Environment Department. Pizzecki says educating residents about why composting is important is key.
This is kind of becoming the standard across the country about how we handle waste in communities and in major metropolitan areas. So continue to educate residents, continue to have those conversations, put boots on the ground to talk to people in their communities.
On the other side of Morningside Park, Abdul Muhammad says composting is a good idea in theory. but it might be low on the list of concerns for a lot of New Yorkers. Mohammed says people are worried about having a roof over their heads.
I do, but I also believe that with a lot of the stuff that's going on with the housing and with a lot of the buildings falling apart and the landlords not taking care of the buildings, that's their least concern about composting, because you have a lot of people that don't have no place to live.
George Charlotte, his friend, is standing with him. He says he's in support of the program, especially if it brings down the rodent population.
It's a good suggestion, and that's what we need, considering we have a lot of rodents here. Whatever it takes to get rid of them.
But he says $25 seems a bit too low.
Oh, come on. You gotta be kidding me.
According to Gothamist, the city has given out more than 20,000 written notices about composting. The sanitation department will begin giving out fines on April 1st. Una Milliken, Columbia Radio News.
You're listening to Uptown Radio. There's more to come. Stay with us. You're listening to Uptown Radio. I'm Flora Walshaw. Next up, it's opening day for Major League Baseball. Some Yankees fans got up early this morning to head to the sports bar next to Yankee Stadium to prep for the game. Later in the show, paintings that depict the Senegalese national sport of wrestling, along with a key inspiration, men's basketball in the USA. These stories and more coming up.
From Columbia Radio News in New York, I'm Modeish. President Donald Trump withdrew today his nomination of Congresswoman Elise Stefanik for the role of UN ambassador. Stefanik was picked for the job just days after Trump's election win. But now, Trump says the GOP House majority is too slim to risk losing her seat. In a social media post this afternoon, he said, "It is essential that we maintain every Republican seat in Congress. So for now, Stefanik stays put in the House." A country clerk in Ulster County has rejected Texas judgment against a physician for prescribing abortion pills via telehealth to a Texas resident. Dr. Maggie Carpenter had received a six-figure fine for violating Texas abortion laws. In a statement, Ulster County Executive Jen Metzger said, "States have no business interfering in women's reproductive health decisions, and New York remains a safe haven for those seeking care." Governor Kathy Hochul today gave an update on the You're Hired campaign aimed to rehiring federal workers fired by the Trump administration Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. Hochul announced that over 1,000 former federal employees have already applied for the program. So far, they have rehired 28 of the workers. A court tomorrow morning in Newark will hear arguments regarding the detention of Mohamed Khalil, a Columbia graduate and Palestinian rights advocate. His legal team will argue that his case should remain in New Jersey, following a ruling from Southern District of New York. The Trump administration is attempting to transfer the case to Louisiana. A 56-year-old man was struck and killed by the number 2 train at the Times Square 42th Street station Thursday morning, police said. He was reading between subway cars, and when he lost his balance, he fell as the train entered the station. Emergency responders pronounced him dead at the scene. Several subway lines experienced delays. The MTA says normal service has been restored. And it's opening day for the New York Yankees playing the Milwaukee Brewers in the season's first game. More to come on our show. Maud Yaish, Columbia Radio News.
It's opening day for Major League Baseball, and the New York Yankees' home game against the Milwaukee Brewers is already underway. Earlier today, reporter Caroline McCarthy headed to the Bronx to see how Yankees fans were getting ready for the start of the season.
It's 10:30 a.m. and I'm here with the early birds at Billy's Sports Bar, just across the street from Yankee Stadium. Billy's is a staple in the Yankee community. Last season, nearly 3,000 fans piled in to watch the Yankees fall to the Dodgers in a 5-game World Series. Today, almost 5 hours before game time, a few fans have already started celebrating the new season.
It's a national holiday, best holiday of the year, and the Yankees got a home opener, so why not get here early?
We're just excited for the Yankee season, baby.
That was Mike and Emma from Middletown, New Jersey. Their 8 a.m. bus made them among the first to arrive at Billy's. Outside the stadium, fans are lining up for pregame tours, taking selfies with gate entrances, and anxiously awaiting doors opening at 1 p.m. Despite Mike's declaration, opening day is not recognized as a national holiday, but these Yankee fans weren't going to let that stop them.
It is a Thursday morning. Where does work think you are right now?
I told them I was going to the Yankee game.
They know I'm here.
I took the day off.
I told them I was coming here. It was either they were giving me the day off, or I was just not coming into work.
I always take the day off every year for opening day.
I took a vacation day today and tomorrow, just in case it got rained out today. Then I didn't have to go back to work and be like, I need tomorrow off now too.
Fans are looking for redemption this season. The Yankees had a disappointing end to the 2024 World Series when they lost to the Los Angeles Dodgers 4-1. Try as they might, the Yankees haven't won a World Series since 2009.
What are you guys most looking forward to this season?
Hopefully win a World Series. Yeah. So a little disappointing end to last year. So
hopefully it's not like last year.
Austin Wells will lead off for the Yankees, making him the first catcher in Yankee history to do so. His job? Get on base for Aaron Judge, something Wells has been doing well. He posted a .426 on-base percentage down in Florida this spring. The Yankees lost Juan Soto to the Mets in a $765 million deal, so all eyes are on newcomers Cody Bellinger and Paul Goldschmidt, two former MVPs with something to prove. Goldschmidt is rounding third on a Hall of Fame career, and Bellinger is 6 years out from his 2019 MVP season. The Yankees take the plate at 3:05 today, so make sure to tune in after Uptown Radio. This is Caroline McCarthy for Columbia Radio News.
Little Senegal, a neighbourhood in West Harlem, is home to a large Senegalese community. Our reporter, Maud Yaish, checks out a new exhibition from Senegalese artist Alioune Djiné. The show is called Joko, which means connection in Wolof. It explores the relationship between basketball in the US and Senegalese wrestling, two sports that inspire big dreams, especially among young Senegalese men.
Head to the Templon Gallery in Chelsea, and hanging on an immaculate white wall is a large painting featuring two wrestlers. It is colorful and figurative. The artist, Alioune Djiné, is tall, relaxed, and smiling. He's happy to be in New York for his first show here.
Ces deux lutteurs qui sont en combat.
In this painting, you can see two wrestlers in the middle of a fight. I wanted these two wrestlers to represent basketball teams as if they were two competing teams. The first wrestler on the right is wearing an outfit in orange and blue. And if you think about basketball in the NBA, the team that wears orange and blue is New York.
The artist says both sports create the same fascination among young men in his home country. For him, the American dream of becoming a basketball player in the US is very close to the dream of becoming a professional wrestler in Senegal.
Young people here dream of becoming basketball players because, for them, making it basketball can help them achieve a better standard of living and the means to survive. In Senegal, the sport that inspires young people the most is wrestling. They also dream of a better life and see wrestling as a possible way to reach it.
D'avoir une vie meilleure, donc ils pensent que être lutteur, ça peut être un truc plus facile pour eux.
Mark Han is an anthropologist who studies Senegalese wrestling.
The star wrestlers in Senegal, they are really icons for the whole country. Everyone knows their name, everyone knows about them, everyone knows when they are fighting. The media is full of reports about them. Sort of every aspect of their lives is scrutinized, so that they're really huge stars. They're sort of quite aspirational for a lot of young men.
Wrestling, just like basketball, grabs young men in Senegal who dream of making it big. This sport is probably the most popular sport in Senegal. In Dakar, the capital, matches take place in the national arena and draw huge crowds. They are big events. You can feel the excitement in a video on YouTube called Senegalese Wrestling Highlights.
You fight on a kind of sandy arena. There's a kind of circle made of sandbags. The surface is sand, and then usually one of them will attack. It often starts with punches, so punches to the face and to the body. And these are punches without gloves, so this is bare knuckle punching. So as you can imagine, it can be quite painful, can be quite bloody in some occasions. So it's possible as well for a fight to end with a knockout.
In Little Senegal, in Harlem, the Association of Senegalese in the US is packed with Senegalese men of all ages. In a tiny office in the back, 4 people are working. One of them is the association president. He's in his mid-30s. He says he loves wrestling. Do you follow also the wrestling Senegalese teams?
Of course. I do. I do follow it, yeah.
And which one?
Well, you're talking about the championship team or like individual wrestling professional?
I have not such a knowledge. And are you from the US or Senegal?
Born in one country and then raised and educated in another.
Outside, in the streets, 2 young men are hanging out nearby a deli. One of them, Cher, is 25. He was raised in the US, and despite the fascination with wrestling, he's not so interested.
I mean, I don't watch wrestling as much, but it's definitely good for the culture, you know. It helps a lot of people, you know. But I'm not a wrestler. I don't watch it, wrestling. I watch with my family, yeah, but on my own time, I never really, really watch it as much as I did with family.
And maybe you prefer basketball than wrestling then?
I'm a basketball player.
For Cher, wrestling is more about family. For the artist, Alioune Diagne, his paintings are also deeply related to his family. Even though his paintings are figurative, if you look closely, they are filled with tiny brushstrokes, which look almost like language.
La technique est venue juste après.
The technique came to me right after the passing of my grandfather, who was a Quranic teacher and wrote in Arabic. Since he never taught me Arabic, I thought to myself as he passed, well, I'll do as he did. I'll write on my paintings.
Diagne exhibition is on view at the Temple Gallery until May 1st. Modiaish, Columbia Radio News.
Well, that does it for this edition of Uptown Radio. We hope you enjoyed the show. Our foreman today was executive producer Dana Binfett. Leading our staff of reporters was senior producer Hannah Weaver. Special thanks to our senior editor Hannah Lorenzo and assistant editor Madeline Riley. Director ZJ Yang coordinated our studio production with Zoya Ma. Thanks to our newscaster Modiaish and our day reporters Una Milliken and Caroline McCarthy. Our instructors Sally Herships, Ben Shapiro and Priscilla Allaby advised our staff. I'm your host, Flora Warshaw. Uptown Radio is live on Thursdays at 4 and anytime at uptownradio.org. From all of us here at Uptown Radio, thanks for listening.